Joan, do you want to introduce your item?
It's reintroducing the item actually, because I brought it up several times. The idea that an increase in the non-ad valorem that means it's the same price per household. For stormwater is a place where we can help our climate change efforts, our resiliency efforts, our environmentally responsible way forward in making sure that we handle stormwater and flooding in a responsible way. It takes money, and I really thank the finance director because bringing this item after the comprehensive plan means that she's still sitting here after coming for 14 hours or whatever. Thank you. And thank you for your memo, which you have updated and corrected to a little bit here. And in the memo, it says that if we were to increase these fees and bank this money, we would be able to then borrow should some grant money come our way, which is one of the things that is on the horizon. You know, all the cities are looking for money to handle floodwater and stormwater, and we're all in this together. We've all asked the state. We haven't gotten any money from the state. However, there will be grants coming down the pike, and they will all be matching. And if, as is said in the memo, we are already experiencing a $25,000 shortfall in stormwater, with it being $45. And if anyone did take a look at the very well reproduced chart of stormwater utility rates, we are pretty low, and I'm proposing that we go to $90, which would allow us that reasonable savings and the ability to do some things. So to maybe help you get a picture of what stormwater fees, raising them would do, take this example of Shores Estates or any other seriously flooded area in the village, but that's the most serious. It's really kind of the ground zero for flooding in Miami Shores. We had a failure of one of the stormwater pipes. So what did we do? We had to dig the stormwater pipe up and replace the pipe at a time when flooding was actually happening. Some of these dwellings, some of these homes haven't been able to use their septic tank during the time of the high tidal flooding. So there's a new way of doing the stormwater pipe. You can sleeve it. You can take a sleeve and put it inside the pipe and strengthen the pipe that way without replacing it. I've been to demonstrations where you handle stormwater drainage a little differently because there are new filtrations that you can put over the stormwater outfall. So the other thing that we don't have that we need are backflow preventers, so that when there is the high tidal flooding happens, it doesn't come up through the storm drain because it's prevented by these backflow preventers. So these are the kinds of things that we do not have money for, but could potentially have money for and use that money in the wisest way for our residents. And the time to me is now. The reason I'm bringing this up now is because it's budget season and we need to be able to know what we're going to advertise to the public. So I'm just...
Council, I mean, if you saw the map of our recently completed assessment, flood assessment, and the comp plan, the adequate comp plan, I mean, it's unbelievable.
So we're going to do 10. To move that we increase stormwater fees to $90 for the 2019-20 budget.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Attorney.
A couple of points.
Yep.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, because this is your area, not mine. This is an enterprise fund. That means it's a self-supporting fund. That means that all of the money we collect has to be used for this purpose, and all of the work we do has to be paid with this money, and we don't put money in from the general fund, and we don't take money out. for any of the uses. It's also, the money comes from a special assessment. Special assessments are different from taxes. You're correct. When you say ad valorem means based on the value of your property. This is not an ad valorem assessment. This is a special assessment. And what is it based on? It's based on the benefit that each property derives from the public works being funded with this. And because it's stormwater, the benefit is measured generally in terms of ERUs, which equivalent residential units, which in turn is based on an expert study of impervious area. And what it means is if you've got cement or asphalt or something that water doesn't flow through on your property, then you are generating stormwater offlow, and that the extent to which you're contributing to the problem is the extent to which you're benefiting from the solution, and that's how they divide it up among all of the property owners, commercial and residential. What this is a long way of saying is that there's a process. In order to increase this rate, you have to go through a process for special assessments. And you're going to need, I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, an expert report that analyzes the current expenses and supports a conclusion that at these new rates, people will be assessed in an amount equal approximately to the benefit that they are receiving. These are not difficult reports to obtain. We did essentially the same thing when we developed the special assessment for the sewers, for the properties that were affected. But you can't, in my view, just say on a resolution, I move we increase the amount. You need that evidence to back it up, and you need to go through a certain process with certain advertising in order to increase a special assessment. So what I would suggest is if you're so inclined, make a motion to direct staff to do what needs to be done to bring this properly before you. Does that work for you, Tom?
Absolutely, and I was also going to suggest that we take a two-pronged approach to this as well, because we also need to study the ERUs that we have in our community, because what's happened in our community is we have a lot of people that have added more to their houses, they've expanded their lots, swimming pools, more impervious area, and most people are getting charged for one ERU, and there's probably people out there with 2 and 3 ERUs now that are using the system and not paying their fair share.
It's crucial.
It all should be part of the study.
It's crucial to support the legality of this as a special assessment as opposed to a tax, that we have substantial competent evidence before you that demonstrates that this fairly apportions among the people who are benefited the costs in accordance with the benefit they're receiving. And there are people who specialize in doing this. When it was originally set up, I'm confident you had such studies. I know that the county has their studies, and way back when we piggybacked on their conclusions. But if we're going to increase it, that's how we need to do it.
Okay, so the motion is to direct staff to bring the item properly before us at a future meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay. Do we need to be more specific than that to talk about the expert or anything else, or commission a study, or?
I don't know if you're going to need under the initials an RFP to get the expert or not.
We'll have to do some research as to how much the study costs. I would imagine we'll probably do an RFQ, have to do an RFQ. If you could direct us to do that, we'll get cracking on it right away.
So I've got a friendly amendment. When you instructed staff to do what they have to do, I would like to amend it to say you direct staff to prepare an RFQ for possible use by the council, approval by the council. All right? Friendly amendment? Good with that? Okay. All right. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Item 7B, discussion and possible action on supporting the 2018-2019 Plaza 98 season with